Ladies and gentlemen, I know that every game is a cup final until we win the league, but this is the biggest of the rest. The biggest of the games remaining, at least. Arsenal will at Tottenham versus Arsenal, the North London derby. Can't even talk properly. I'm so nervous, man. It is going to be an incredible game of football. And I'm shaking because we need to win this. I've been saying it for every game. We're coming off a great win in midweek, 5-0 against Chelsea. Got that one done easily. And Spurs have not played for 2 weeks. So they're all rested. They're all ready. We've had a tough schedule. Haven't been in the greatest of form. But a couple wins on the bounce is definitely good for us. And yeah, I could not be more excited. We've had some very bad memories at this ground. A couple years ago, when we basically lost out on the top 4 there. Got slapped up 3-0. But we don't have Rob Holding to get sent off anymore. We've got Gabriel. We've got Saliba. These guys need to be there like they were last year. Obviously, last year we were able to win there. I'm going to get into all that with the head-to-head. But here is my North London derby match preview. Now, usually at this point, I would go through the predicted 11, but I waited until an hour before the game so I could actually look at the teams that we put through for both clubs. And it was for good reason, because I thought that we should have used the same 11 that we had last week. No reason that anyone should be dropped. Timber is currently playing with the academy team again, so hopefully he's able to play well there. I'm much happier with that than if he was to be put back into the team, but we've gone with the exact same squad, exactly what I've wanted. I'm very happy with that. But this Spurs team is very interesting. They've gone with their usual back 5, except Destiny Udogi's out for the rest of the season, so they had to bring in Ben Davies. I thought that they might have brought in like a Dragushin and then maybe had Van de Ven as a left back, had Porro invert or something like that, but Postecoglou's kept it plain and simple. Their attack's normal of like Son, Kulusevski, Madison. I don't think Werner is usually a starter, but I might be wrong. I think he sucks, so he shouldn't be. But the midfield, they've got like sort of a double pivot thing going with Højbjerg and Bentancur. Yeah, odds are we should be able to dominate Højbjerg. Rice and Partey should be able to do well on Højbjerg and Bentancur. Bentancur's a great player, but he's had a lot of injuries. Overall, I like this. I think that in terms of the lineups, it's great. Nobu Doggy's good. Richarlison is on the bench. He's been out with an injury. We have all the necessary players on the bench. We just need these guys to, play to the occasion, step up. Because Trossard and Havertz, they've both had inconsistencies, especially Trossard when he starts. It's good to see that Arteta hasn't tried to put Havertz back in the midfield. Bukayo Saka is another one that gets constant criticism, all the limping stuff. All these players need to step up because it is a huge, huge game, season-defining. If we win this, then that's 3 games left to go until we've done everything we can, and we just hope that City drop points, because if we win our final 4 games and City drop any points at all, the Premier League title is ours. So yeah, we should be able to dominate this team. Although it would be such an Arsenal thing, and I'm not trying to be negative because I want to be as positive as I can, but I'm worried because it'll be such an Arsenal thing. Let me show how it goes, how it could go, and this is along the lines of some stuff that Arsenal have been doing in big games. First half, we play decently. We score a goal decently early on. We're 1-0 up at half time, or we don't score a goal and it's 0-0. Let's just say we score a goal. We've been playing well, we've been controlling the game, but then in the second half, Spurs come out and dominate. Højbjerg plays like prime Busquets, dominates Rice. Ben Davies, Saka lives in his pocket, completely shuts him out of the game. We see Timo Werner score, Havertz plays like shit, and we end up dropping points in this game. It would be such an Arsenal thing to come up against a Spurs team that is not using their best squad and make those players that aren't good enough to play for Tottenham play like they're better than our whole team. It would be such an Arsenal thing to do. But I'm going to be optimistic because we can win this game. We very well can win this game. And we have to be winning this game because we have the better side. It's a North London derby, but form goes out the window. But we need to make sure that it doesn't. And that team, even though I said it would be an Arsenal thing to go and bottle it, there's a reason I say bottle, because that team is definitely the better team. And we have to win this. Now let's look at the head-to-head matchups between the two clubs. Obviously, the game earlier in the season at the Emirates was a draw. I don't think we were particularly amazing that game. I feel like Spurs will definitely walk away happier just because we dropped points at home and their second half was very good. But we definitely do have the best of the head-to-head. We beat them. We doubled them last season. Our first win at this ground in a long time. First win away at Tottenham in a long time. And then the season before that, we lost 3-0 away at Spurs to bottle top four, what I was talking about before. And we won 3-1 at the Emirates. So at the Emirates, we do very well against them. Away, not so much. We have been recently. So, and also, one stat that I'd like to bring up. Arteta has not gone a full season at Arsenal without beating Spurs. The last time we won a season without beating Spurs was 1920. As in the 1920 season, which was the year that Arteta first came in halfway through the season. So when he's actually had a full chance to beat Spurs, he did it in 2021 when we were 8th and playing dog shit football. He did it in 21-22 when we bottled top 4 to them. And he doubled them last season. So if this, which I think is our best season since the Invincibles, regardless on whether or not we win the Premier League, if this is the first time under Arteta's full reign that we don't beat Spurs, yeah, not good enough. Now for the form. In terms of Arsenal's form, not the greatest, but it's been getting better. We've won back-to-back games without conceding a goal, 2-0 at the Molineux and 5-0 to Chelsea. But before that, we had back-to-back losses, which was a 2-0 loss at Villa and a 1-0 loss. A 2-0 loss at home to Villa and a 1-0 loss at Bayern, which to go from scoring 7 goals and conceding 0 to conceding 3 and scoring none isn't good. And then the game before that was the 2-2 draw at the Emirates against Bayern Munich. So, not horrible. We've played 2 away games in that, a win and a loss. We're away from home. Our away form in the league lately has been good. We have kept 6 consecutive clean sheets away from home. I doubt we would do the same thing just because, Spurs have so much attacking quality. Not all of it on display right now, but I'm guessing Brennan Johnson and Richarlison, 2 players that I actually rate, will probably play quite well. But in terms of Spurs' form, which we all know Arsenal's form, let's actually talk a bit about Spurs' form. It's been very up and down. It has been. Their most recent performance, we all know, was a couple weeks ago where they lost 4-0 to Newcastle. They've had some games delayed since then. That was a shocking performance from them. But before that, they beat Forest 3-1 at home, which I thought they played pretty well in that game. They were unlucky to concede. Drew at the London Stadium, which I guess it could be considered a good result. Scraped past Luton Town at home, and then got battered 3-0 by Fulham before that. So they've only really had one proper decent performance in that game. And even before that, other than the 4-0 against Villa, they have been scraping by with some pretty poor performances. I don't feel like Spurs fans are happy where they are, and they should be, because it's a project. They've brought in a bunch of new players. But in terms of their performances as of the past couple months, they haven't actually been playing very well. They've been getting wins, but I've been watching them. They've, had to rely on a couple late comebacks. They've been conceding stupid goals. And if they played like that, we can take advantage of them. But I don't think they will. Just because it's a North London derby, it means so much more, and form goes out the window. Recent performances go out the window. So, and that's a term that's used a lot in derbies, and it should be, because the North London derby is one of, if not the best derby in England, due to the fact that form never matters. It mattered last season, but most of the time, it does not matter. Arsenal were the better side, I would say, in 21-22 when they were aiming for top 4, and we got slapped up 3-0. Same thing could happen again. We could win. I'm praying we win, but it will not be easy. Now for a bit of tactical insight. Both teams play very similarly in the terms that we play attacking football. Both teams have a very high line. Spurs fans often like to talk about the fact that they've got this insane high line, the highest line in the competition. We have the highest line in the Premier League. If you look at the stats, we have a higher line than they do. So they blame all the goals they concede on their high line. Defensively, Spurs are not that switched on. They make a lot of errors, but it's their first season. It makes sense. They've had some games where they've conceded a lot of goals, and that's how we can get at them. Because, as I said before, we are probably not going to keep a clean sheet in this game. I don't see us going away to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, a place where, when was the last time they didn't concede there? God, we'd have to go back a long time to see the last time that didn't score there. Because they went on this insane scoring run, and it's only been broken by games where they were away from home. I might be wrong, but I do not know when the last time they didn't score at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium was. And even though we've got a great defensive record in a game like this, a North London derby, we're not going to break that. We're not going to keep a clean sheet, so we need to outscore them. Obviously, we need to defend well because with players like Son, Richarlison, Johnson on the bench, James Maddison, even though he's not been in the greatest form, they've got a lot of attacking quality. And we are going to really need to exploit that. We are really going to need to defend that and exploit their defensive issues, if we're going to win this game. Now, one thing that I could definitely put Arteta's way in, something that could go this way as opposed to other times he's matched up against teams like this, it's a good comparison to compare this game to the City game, the one at the Etihad where we got a nil draw. I was expecting it to be a very open, attacking game where both teams are going to score a few goals because of the expansive attacking football that we play. However, Arteta, the way he went into this game, and I didn't necessarily agree with it at the time, I feel like we were good enough to potentially win that by playing our normal football. The only thing is, Arteta didn't feel like that. He thought he respected City a little bit too much. I'm not saying you shouldn't respect City, but not to the point where you go and park the bus at the Etihad for 90 minutes. But he's not going to do this today. He doesn't. I doubt he has that same respect for Spurs that he has for Man City. Not because I think Spurs are a poor team, but because Man City are the treble winners. Whereas now, Arteta knows that even though it's away from home, he will still have the better side and he will go for the win. And I think we are going to score a few goals. I don't see, unless we just completely capitulate under pressure, looking at how this team's been playing, there isn't a world where we don't score. And there isn't a world where we don't score multiple, unless we capitulate. I'm not saying we can't capitulate. We can definitely capitulate. We just need to make sure that doesn't happen. Even though Spurs play very, possession-based attacking football, we will probably have more of the ball just because we're better at it. The table is evident of that. And that'll probably test Spurs because they're not used to not having the ball. And the way you beat Spurs, we saw this against Newcastle, is let them sit off the ball. And maybe Arteta will go through. Maybe he won't want to control the game nearly as much and may want to just let them kick it around the back a little bit. We're not Newcastle, though. That Newcastle's strategy of, counter-attacking is their whole thing, but it's not ours. So it could be very even. It just depends how the performance goes because this isn't going to be, Arsenal are going to dominate the game. It's whether or not we put our chances away. It could be that, but this is really going to be a contest, and I'm very excited to see how we go in this game. Now to end it off with a prediction. I don't know how to go about this. It is a very difficult game to predict. Obviously, we drew 2-2 at the Emirates. I think that we win this game. I cannot predict us to not win this game when we have a title on the line, and Spurs fans will feel the same. What Spurs fan is going to predict an Arsenal win when you're a Spurs fan and it's a North London derby? No one. But it's the scoreline. I'm going to predict 2-1. I said there'd be goals, but a lot of the big fixtures this season haven't had many goals. I feel like there will be lots of chances, but I just think that Spurs will score 1, but our defense will be solid for the rest of the game, and then we'll get 2 goals, get the 2-1 win, and it'll be just such a good game. Oh my God, I'm shaking. I'm shaking. Let's go beat Spurs. We haven't done it yet this season. We always beat Spurs. Let's go fucking beat the scum of North London. Come on, you Gunners. Oh yeah, and I'm going to say goals from Son, because he always manages to score in these big games this season. And I'm going to go Saka and Havertz. Gunners!